I actually met him about 32, 33 years ago. I was in a bar, actually, and with a lot of actors, and we were just kind of hanging out, looking for something to do, and I was alone and looking for a little. Well, it turned out looking for LeCoq. I didn't know that's what I needed, but I knew I needed something, and so I just stumbled on, tripped over it. Actually, he was lying on the floor drunk, and there's just something about the way he was lying in the puddle of his own vomit that just kind of spoke to me, and guess it just took off from there.
Today, the world is a much louder place. Last night, the world lost a much-beloved entertainer, Jean-Baptiste Lecoq, world-renowned mime and virtuoso harpsichordist, died while rehearsing a new act at his summer home on Martha's Vineyard. He was alone in the woods preparing to climb an imaginary tree when an actual tree fell on him. It did not make a sound. We now take a look at the side of Lecoq the public didn't see, from those who knew him best, his friends, colleagues, and followers. This is the legend of Lecoq.
Well, I haven't been with him for a long time. 5 years. That's long enough to really get to know him intimately, I guess you could say. Well, he was a really stand-up guy.
Kind of like a mentor. Lecoq was like a big thinker. He had these grand ideas. He wasn't afraid to share them with you. Lecoq would just spew ideas like a volcano spews lava.
There was this one time when he had a show in Cleveland, and it was a real big show, and the night before he got smashed drunk. I mean, just, eat the worm kind of thing. Well, next morning, I had trouble waking him up, and I had to go down to the kitchen and get a pot of boiling oil, throw it on him. That got him up. Well, we were on the way there, and he apparently didn't use the restroom before he left, but he peed all over my my beautiful Gucci suit. But I dealt with it. The smell was, wasn't that bad, but we got there, and I had to literally drag him through the rear entrance, and I was telling him, man, if you want to say no, if you don't want to go out there, I'll understand. We'll just cancel the show. We'll do it another day. But no, he insisted, and he went out there, and he threw up a couple of times, but we were able to kind of conceal that with the lighting and everything. That was cool. But he got about halfway through the act, and then I think it was his ladder routine, and he forgot how to climb the ladder. Just up and left him. And he just stood there. And I remember this little girl just stood up in the audience and said, "Climb the ladder, Lecoq, climb the ladder." And pretty soon the whole audience was cheering, climb the ladder, Lecoq. We love Lecoq, climb the ladder. And you know what? He climbed that fucking ladder.
I remember when I first met Lecoq. Yeah, I just graduated from community college. I was about to embark on this career as a professional finger painter, Well, a friend of mine, she had seen Lecoq's act. She thought it was really groovy, so I decided I better get on that.
I discovered Lecoq at a very young age. You might say that I was drawn to Lecoq. We've always been dear, dear friends, and he's been a tremendous asset to my political campaign.
It was in Paris. I just was wandering around, and there was a little theater, and I wandered in. It was magical. The way with just moving his fingers, the way he could make the whole audience quiver. Could you give me a moment?
Near, far, wherever you are here in my heart, and Lecoq will go on and on. So I met Harry Lecoq about 10 years ago, before his untimely passing, and Harry introduced me to his son, Jean-Baptiste LeCoq, and I didn't know any mimes before. I didn't even know what a mime was. I thought it was something you stepped on, boom, and it blew you to shit. Whoa! Jean-Baptiste and I became very good friends, and then not so much. No, then not so much. We had a couple of falling outs, and I kind of hated him after that. But now I'm here to mourn his passing, Why not? I really don't want to be here.
LeCoq and I had a love for nature. Yes, we did. We had a love for beauty. And we shared a hatred for deviled eggs.
He was there to amuse us, to entertain us.
A lot of people don't know this, but LeCoq actually fathered 11 children with 11 different women. Not because he had to. He just wanted to give as much of himself to as many people as he could. And he was generous. He once gave a homeless man a brand new newspaper that he hadn't even read yet, because the homeless man didn't have anything to read. And he didn't do it because that camera crew was following him around filming a documentary on his life. That was just coincidence. He did it because homeless people mean more to him than that lousy 50 cents.
I decided then and there that I would be a mime. And I followed him around for 3 years, stalking him, till he finally agreed to take me under his wing and teach me mime.
Well, it's interesting because I've always wanted to be LeCoq, but no, there's only one LeCoq, and I tried really hard. To the best of my ability, and I just wasn't getting there. I was trying to do this box routine for this little girl, and either she wasn't getting it or she was just retarded. LeCoq kind of took me under his wing, and then he realized that I was just beyond, training. So I said, well, I would represent him. I would represent LeCoq. And, so that was 5 years ago, and now he's fucking dead.
And then when I finally met LeCoq, I understood. I understood who I was and what I needed to do.
How did he affect and influence my life? Well, for the good or for the bad? Okay, well, for the good, I think I had a spare tire one time, and he helped me change my tire when I had a flat. So I guess that's the good. As for the bad, he was a son of a bitch. A lot of people don't know this because he was a mime and he didn't say a lot. But when he talked, it was nothing but bile. Spitting out bile left and right, and that's all he did, really. And, the last couple of years we were acquainted with one another, he was a real bastard to me, which kind of brought on this animosity that I have towards him. And that's when I luckily became the vice president of the International Mime Association, much to my surprise, which was wonderful in that I was able to put that son of a bitch in his place.
Yes, I really did. He was always right on. His performances were firm. They always managed to reach the climax of the scene exactly when it needed to be. I never found him weak or limp in any of his acting. He always was very professional.
He campaigned for me. He handed out buttons, he shook babies' hands, and kissed a lot of young girls. If it weren't for LeCoq, I never would have gained the vote of the young mimes, much less get elected.
When they look back at the great minds of history, they will see Edison and Einstein and LeCoq.
Well, I perfected my skills while I was in prison. My cellmate was really into me. Every night when the sun would go down, he would get frisky. Well, at first, I started just kind of walking around waving my arms in the air and acting retarded. That worked for a while. And then I told him I was anorexic. That worked for a while. Well, You kind of get used to it. You know, what you do is you think about other things, nice places, like being on the beach. You know, it's not so awkward getting ass raped on a beach. Well, hippies and I got along really great because we shared the same work ethics. And they had this thing there called free love. Yeah, that's fantastic for somebody on fixed income.
By 1973, LeCoq was practically a household name. His worldwide fame led to his first television variety show, Lunch with LeCoq. But due to poor reception and the fact that guests had to pretend to eat food that wasn't there, the show was canceled partway through the first episode. It wasn't until the early 1980s when he received his first speaking role.
I've been doing some deductive reasoning, and I come to the conclusion that you shot JR. I guess I should have told someone else before I told you.
In the early 1980s, mime gigs were hard to come by, but LeCoq found minor success in the adult film industry, appearing in such cult classics as La Femme l'Amour LeCoq, Hard as a Rock LeCoq, and 1984's winner for Best Pelvic Thrust, Ladies Love LeCoq.
Big Bob's Pizza. You can beat our prices, but you can't beat our meat. Here's your pizza. Then I added extra sausage.
I don't see any sausage.
I didn't say it was on the pizza.
Well, I'd like some of that. Well, do you mind if we have a friend join us?
I like to watch.
I think Tale of Two Titties might be one of my favorites. It sort of had that round, fulsome, wholesome kind of character to it that and allowed us to explore our boundaries and really expand and just really meld our characters. Yeah.
You know, I would say that when I first heard that LeCoq had died, my first words were, how? How did he die? I wanted to know, did he die of cancer? Did he die of a heart attack? You know, I was hoping it would be something a little more drawn out and a little bit more painful. If he got hit by a car, that'd just be a waste. You know, just be a waste.
I was at home. As you probably know, I have 14 miniature schnauzers, and I was deworming Fluffy at the time when I heard, and it was a shock. I actually ended up neutering Fluffy, and I didn't mean to. It was just the deworming scissors kind of slipped because I was so shocked when I heard the news. It was very upsetting.
The benefits of having LeCoq in my life have been so great that I will definitely have to find someone else that I can be that close to. I'm not sure that I can live without LeCoq, and I feel like there's someone else out there that will never be as big a part of my life as LeCoq was, but certainly someone who can hopefully fill that role. Those are big shoes to fill.
Oh my God. I was at this gallery opening. It was one of these performance art pieces. This friend of mine, Breeze, she was doing it. And all of a sudden, I felt this whoosh of air. And Breeze was standing there, not even performing. And I knew something had happened. So immediately, I got on the chat room, LeCoq's are us. And I found out that he had passed away. Some divine intervention with the tree, or lack thereof. I'm still trying to figure out the details, but I'm sure that another plane needed LeCoq more than we do.
I mean, it's a tragedy. I mean, the mime community is going to be hurting for a long time. And luckily, we're not going to be able to hear a lot of that grief because they don't talk.
How did he affect or influence my life? I'll say that he definitely helped me penetrate the market of the young mimes. Without that, I definitely would not have won the election.
He was always there for you. Always ready to push you up to the next level. You know, he's always behind me in everything I did. Always behind me.
I was a closet mime, okay? I mean, I've always wanted to be one, and, but my friends used to make fun of me and stuff, and when I tried to do the box of the ladder, or, even, my blackface routine that I tried to do. I tried that once, but it didn't go very far. Yeah, they didn't like it. They thought I was a talentless shit. Actually, they said that second grade.
I don't know that I'll ever move on. I think now that he's dead, I can have a little bit more fun. And I'm sounding like it was all negative. It wasn't all negative. I mean, we had some good times back about 10 years ago. We had some pretty fun times with some whores and some drugs, and it was a different time back in the 80s. People could get hopped up on heroin and go have sex with 30 whores and kill a couple of them, and no one cared. No one cared. They didn't have any families. Who was going to miss them? I mean, come on. But you can't do that so much these days. We tried, and there were the lawsuits, and luckily those days are behind us. But what was I talking about?
Here his followers gather for the first time, for the last time, to pay tribute to the legend.
First, I want to thank you all for coming. It's a very special night where we're remembering the great Jean-Baptiste LeCoq, the greatest LeCoq that I ever knew. I want to start off by telling a story that's special and dear to my heart. As you know, Jean-Baptiste LeCoq was a collector. He had a lot of very interesting hobbies, and one of those was little porcelain sailors, little seamen. LeCoq had more seamen than any man I knew. And he spread that semen to the world. Those seamen, he spread them to the world. He wanted them to see what he had collected. He even gave me some. Right before he died, he sent me a letter. We hadn't talked in a year. He sent me a letter, and all it said was, "Francis, I have some semen to give you. Please come and collect this semen. LeCoq." Whenever I feel down or I feel bad, that the presence that we knew and loved is gone, I just smile and remember that there's a little LeCoq in all of us.
Kumbaya, LeCoq. Kumbaya. Come on, join in. Kumbaya, LeCoq. Kumbaya.
I did not just lose a mentor. I lost a father. That's right. My name is John Baptiste LeCoq Jr. But most people just call me Little LeCoq.
Did you say you're little LeCoq? Yeah. Are you of the same lineage of your father? Really?
And now it's time to put LeCoq to rest. Or as LeCoq always put it, just because you shit a turd doesn't mean it owes you diamonds.